another one by Dak, I think Dallas wins the game. They had more first downs. They were slightly better on third down. They had fewer penalties. They had more total offense. And I thought their clock management, always an issue in Dallas with McCarthy, was very strong at the end of the first half. Yes, Jalen Carter's absence due to spitting is a big break. He is just a complete, absolute difference maker. And for the first half, the Eagles' defense was trying to sort things out and figure out how to play without Jalen Carter. But Dak played well. Don't blame it on Dak. He had people in his face in the second half and made great throws. And here's the thing about Dak. He's 32. He's off his second surgery. Screws were needed to reattach his hamstring. Yet he moved well. He threw with confidence. He didn't get sacked. And again, in the second half, Vic Fangio dialed it up. He was under duress. Also for Dallas, I thought the offensive line, again, no Jalen Carter. Yeah, we know it helped. But I thought the offensive line held up well. I thought they found running lanes. I thought CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens against an excellent secondary. That is an excellent, young, talented secondary and linebacking core. Both George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb created space, beat their coverage. And also, what are we going to look like without Micah Parsons? Micah Parsons is a great player. He's not the soul of this team. Last year with Micah Parsons, the Eagles averaged 37.5 points against Dallas. Last night was 24. And would have been a win if CeeDee Lamb didn't become CeeDee Lame and drop 3 passes.
Okay. let's CeeDee Lame. Okay. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to keep addressing the Micah Parsons thing. I think if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you move on, and it's it's a new season, new year, new era, right? I don't think we have to keep rehashing Micah Parsons. But I mean, I think the Dallas Cowboys played great. I think you should absolutely be excited and encouraged and believe in your team. And this is what I've been saying all off season, because everyone kept saying, the Cowboys are going to be awful, 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 awful. And I kept saying, no, I think they're boom or bust, meaning I think they're either going to be like really great, like really, really, really good and win a lot of games, or it's got the potential to implode just because of all the people that you're there. Although that does change a little bit with Micah, because Micah's obviously emotional, but like I said, we're going to leave Micah to the side. But it was just because of, new coach and Dak and Pickens and whatnot. But obviously, if you're going to have CeeDee Lamb and Pickens and someone like Dak, all you need is just, as long as the O-line is an absolute horrendous, Dak is going to be able to deal with that. He's when I mean deal, I mean like, wheel and deal. Like he's going to be able to make it happen. He's an experienced, seasoned veteran and a really, really, really good quarterback. Good to great quarterback. So, like this always could be successful as long as Schottenheimer on offense isn't a disaster. And so far, so good. I think he called a beautiful game. I think Dak was incredibly comfortable. And I think, I think what really impressed me more than anything for the Dallas Cowboys was their organization, their preparedness, and ready for them, and that they were ready for the moment. Because they were very buttoned up. They were playing very much in rhythm, on time, disciplined. That is actually what impressed me more, especially when you have new defensive coordinator and new offensive head coach, right? So you have new coaching staff. And so that impressed me more than anything else, quite frankly. Because you're always going to be able to find some nice plays, some big moments for Dak and CD and whoever. Listen, I don't know if it's necessarily fair just to say if so-and-so catches the ball, they win. Because as I said in my Eagles video, and I won't rehash it, too deeply, I'll just say that both teams were gifting each other moments throughout that game. The Eagles could have had a couple interceptions, etc. But I think the defense played really well. And like I said before, when Eberflus was hired, I praised that hire. I was like, that's a great hire for the Dallas Cowboys. Eberflus is a great defensive coordinator. He's not a great head coach, but he knows defense. He made that Chicago Bears defense great, really special actually. And as soon as he got fired, that defense collapsed. That defense was awful. That tells you something. So that, so I think that was a great move. by Jerry Jones. Right? Jerry Jones is very much like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 5 steps back. Like it's a roller coaster with him. But like it was a good move. I think you should be pretty comfortable here. I think the games are always going to be a little tough in division. I'm interested to see what how the Cowboys play, because I said, at the bare minimum, the Dallas Cowboys, any of the bad teams, just essentially really just not the great teams, the Cowboys will absolutely win, as they always have done. And then it comes down to the better teams. Are you able to make the plays when it matters most? And Dak, in his defense that's why I don't know when Colin said, you can't blame Dak. That threw me off when he said that, because it's like, well, of course you can't blame Dak. Like, it's like, why even bring that up? Like, huh? Like, you can't. No one can blame Dak here. Like, that doesn't even really make any sense. Yeah, no, I think all in all, for a week 1 game, when you have to not expect everything to be perfect, this was as good of a loss as you could have, honestly. And I think there's going to be a lot of can't wait to see you next time in Dallas. And I think this gives you a strong feeling going into, I forget, who do they play in week 2? Yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty great schedule, actually, because you now go up against the Giants, and you should be better than the Giants. And then you go up against the Bears, and that is going to be a rallying cry for the Dallas Cowboys and Eberflus. Eberflus is their coach now. He's their guy. You're going to want to get a big win there. You're going to want to be able to support your coach. That much is true. And then you're going up against the Packers and Micah Parsons. So you have 4, I didn't realize this before, you have 4 really emotionally driven games to start the season. You want to beat the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl. Let's go. Let's beat them. You got to beat the Giants. They're the New York Giants, obviously. Then you have the Bears. I promise you, that is going to be an emotional, like, they are going to use that as a rallying cry. No ifs, ands, or buts. They are going to want to get Eberflus that win. And then against the Packers, it's Micah Parsons, which is obviously also going to be intense, emotional, and, hey, we don't need you. Hey, you need me type of game. So, yeah, I mean, I think all of those games for the most part are winnable, especially, of course, the Giants and the Bears. And so it's like, even if the Packers end up being as great as some people believe them to be, you start off the season 2-2, and then you're on to the Jets and the Panthers, and then you have another divisional game with the Commanders, right? Like, you're right in rhythm there. Yeah, I think you're totally poised to start off this season right on track to be like, yeah, we're competing. We're competing at a minimum for the wild card. And again, I think when you're transitioning to a newer roster, adding new pieces, getting a new coaching staff in the beginning of the season, your mentality is like, we want our floor to be competing for the wild card, and depending on how the rest of the division unfolds, obviously you want to be able to compete for the division. But that path starts now by proving that you're better than the Giants and you beat them, right? You do that, then you're now 0-2 in the division. Things can kind of get, it's kind of funny. On one side, a football team can be incredibly resilient. You can lose a week 1 game against a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, a tough loss for the Cowboys. And on the other side, things can also unravel very quickly, right? So I do think this next game is a big win, but I think it's going to be interesting to see, because the Cowboys have always, crushed teams like the Giants and the Commanders over the years, when those teams were obviously complete messes. And I think for the most part in the NFL, those days, at least for now, are gone. This idea that you're just going to be able to just run teams out. I think there's probably still a team or two in the NFL that probably will happen, or if just sometimes games get away from you, even if you are a great team. Think Baltimore Ravens versus Buffalo Bills, when the Ravens rolled them, even though the Bills were obviously not a bad team. Sometimes that's just the way how, like I said, things can unravel kind of quickly. But I think there was many moments throughout the years that the Cowboys were able to build a sense of confidence by rolling bad teams, and I don't think that was ever sustainable. And so to me, it'll always be more impressive losing a close game like this, playing imperfect, than dominating a bad team, right? Now, the problem is this was the Eagles, who they are a great team, but it's a divisional game, so it's always a little bit tough. But I am curious to see what lessons the Cowboys learn after this game, how they apply it. I'm really excited to see what the defense looks like against other teams. Like it's tough because the Eagles, this was week 1, so it's like, you know, you always got to throw out week 1 a little bit. Then week 2, you're going up against the Giants with Russell Wilson. It's just like, who really knows how good that offense is going to get going? I think it's going to be a lot better than it has been in years past, but it's just like, who really knows? Then you're going up against, you know, young quarterback Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson. It's their third game of the season together. Who knows how quickly they can get things going, if at all. Like you're playing a bunch of games where it's going to be hard to really understand just how great your defense can be right now. I would be more inclined the first game that really I could really kind of start to because then you're also playing the Jets. Like, again, if you hold the Jets to 3 points, I'm not gonna be like, that's how great the Cowboys defense are. I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's Justin Fields and the Jets, and then the Carolina Panthers. I think actually the most realistic example of who the Cowboys are going to be against defensively are going to be against the Packers and the Commanders. I think those are the first two actual good data points to try to figure out how good is this defense. And I think the Packers, and I think in terms of offensively, the first game that they're really going to be able to feel, okay, how good is our offense, will actually be against the Packers as well as even the Jets now. But it also could be a little bit tough if Justin Fields is having a lot of 3-and-outs, or you're getting great field position. So like that would also have to be put in context. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to try to piece this together. It's always hard to do this in the first week or 2 or 3, because I'm watching this game and I'm thinking to myself, we don't know how good the Eagles offense is. We don't know how good the Eagles defense is. We don't know how good the Cowboys offense is. We don't know how good the Cowboys defense is. Like, you're trying to make conclusions, and which I've obviously done here, but you don't really know. For all we know, the Eagles offense is awful this year. For whatever reason, it's just bad. And then it's like, okay, well, then the Cowboys defense didn't really do that great of a job necessarily. And for all we know, the Eagles defense is absolutely awful this year. And it's like, all right, well, then the Dallas Cowboys should have been a lot smoother, right? So you just don't know. But all in all, though, I think Cowboys should have a lot of optimism, especially when all offseason everybody was blasting them. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Dallas Cowboys? Were you impressed with the Cowboys despite the loss? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.